Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back yet again for another 2023 wrap up video, whatever you want to call these things. I've done a couple of these already. We took a look at some of my personal highlights and hardware acquisitions and such in the first video. Second video, we took a look at or I talked about some of the mainstream games that I played, and I know one that I actually forgot to put on there for sure. Alan Wake 2. I have not gotten very far into it because there's just been a lot of other stuff that I forgot about, or that I had to play, afterwards. But at the same time, there are some accessibility issues. Some of the levels are very, very dark and can be hard to see. Sometimes I kind of get stuck either missing some kind of an objective, an item I need to collect, or a path I need to go down. And like the puzzles, I don't know, like I figured some of them out, but I've had a little bit of trouble with some of them. And like I love the graphics, the presentation, the atmosphere, the characters, the setting. I just don't know that I'm sold on the gameplay all that much. You have the aim your flashlight at something and then shoot it mechanic from the first game. But there's a lot of this kind of detective work things and stuff that really wasn't as much in the first game. So I did have to mention Alan Wake 2 because I did forget about that. And I also know that the new Avatar game is out now. Kind of reminds me a lot of Far Cry series. I have not played it. I didn't get a code, or I have not purchased it yet, so I can't really talk about that yet either. But let's kick off our fireplace here. Let's light things up. And we are going to throw a log on ye old fire. Throw a few of them on there. And we're going to put some matches to this flame. And because of the topic, I think it's only appropriate that we have some red flames from the depths of hell. Because today we are going to be talking about the plethora, the wealth of retro first-person shooters. Because that is my jam. Those are some of my favorite games, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. So let's kick back with some demonic red fire. Maybe throw a hot dog on the old fire, put a big old hot dog on there. So yeah, we're gonna roast some hot dogs in here, maybe eat them later on. And we're gonna talk about some retro first-person shooters. So there were a lot of them that came out either in early access, that came out in full 1.0 release, and there were quite a few demos. The Forge engine, the Dark Forces update. Now, next year we are going to be getting an official Night Dive remaster, which is excellent, but this, I did a video for the current fan remake, essentially, or, update, and it's quite good, If you like the Dark Forces game, back on the old Doom engine, it is done very well. It had more of like a story to it. It had cutscenes. You had Vader. There were more mechanics than just shooting people. You had some kind of puzzles. You had platforming to a degree. It did some interesting stuff and kind of moved the genre forward on the Doom engine. Disdain. That was fun. This Disdain demo kind of gives me some Quake vibes, some original Quake vibes. Demo was reasonably short, but it was still good. I am very much looking forward to playing that when it comes out, either in early access or full release when it does. Very much enjoyed that. Chomp Goblins. This was a fun little game from the guy who made us Dusk. And it was I think it was either a freebie or it was like maybe a buck or two tops. And it was just this really goofy, zany, first-person shooter where you're fighting these little goblin dudes and some strange bosses, and I did a video for it. It's a short game, but it's well worth playing if you like retro shooters, because it's just off kilter and goofy enough that I really got a kick out of it. The first that first boss, or that one without, or it was, no, there's a second level boss, I think, where you're in the, like, the castle type area or whatever. I don't want to spoil too much, but the kind of Dracula-esque boss was pretty dumb, but in a pretty great way. Chop Goblins, check it out, it's pretty funny. GoldenEye ports. Yeah, you remember when a couple years ago we had that unofficial release of the Xbox Live Arcade ROM that never got released because of licensing hell? Well, now Xbox does have a GoldenEye port, basically very similar, very close to that modern look of the Xbox Live Arcade version. And there is the original graphics and original port with online play on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I tried both, and I'll tell you the Xbox version is a hell of a lot easier to play because it actually uses modern control styles. If you are going to try with the Joy-Cons or even Pro Controller-esque things, ooh, the N64 version ROM that is on the Switch is really difficult to get used. It's a royal pain to try to play. I really wish they would have retrofitted a modern control option, because it is kind of a bitch to play with a regular controller. That said, I finally, they're always out of stock it seems, but I finally caught a couple months ago the if you're a Switch Online member, you can order the N64 controller for their Switch Online stuff. And I managed to get my hands on one of those, so I haven't actually gotten to play around with it yet. But now I do have an option for those really just bizarrely controlled N64 games, because you've got one analog stick, 4 C buttons, a trigger, a D-pad, a 3-prong control. I mean, the N64 controller is just weird. I mean, it worked really well for the games that were designed for it, but God forbid, you try to play a game with another controller that's meant for that, for the N64 controller, and it's weird, man. It's something. Meat Grinder. This game was insane. I haven't beaten it yet, but mainly because I get to one level and I just can't seem to beat it. So Meat Grinder is like Speed, except like you can't stop moving or you die. You can't touch the street or you die. But remember, there was a game called Cluster Truck a few years back where you were going down the highway and you were jumping from semi to semi. And this is like that, except this time you're not just jumping. You're jumping, you have a melee, you have a kick, you have guns, and there are dudes shooting at you, and you have a grappling hook, and it's fast, it's over the top, it's insane, it's just completely ridiculous, and it's awesome. You are jumping from trucks and flatbeds, and there are motorcycle guys chasing you. You can blow up tanker trucks. There are bosses. There are some really interesting level surprises that I'm not going to spoil. The game kind of goes some places. And the level that I'm stuck on right now is, it's not just trucks, man. Hope you like airplanes. That's all I'm going to say. Because it is really tough, at least for me. But, yeah, Meat Grinder, short but very, very cool game. And, yeah, very cool. Arcos 2. I think I played a little bit of the original Arcos. It was kind of interesting. Arcos 2, there's a demo for it out, and it's kind of a, your mix between Doom and Wolfenstein era. It's got this really chunky, pixelated look to it. And it's neat. I really like what I played of it, and I definitely want to play more when it comes out in early access or 1.0 when it does. Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun. That came out of nowhere. And, it was announced, I don't remember when it was announced, but not too terribly long before release. And it was a really, it took this like power armor from the, I don't know anything about the Warhammer 40,000 universe other than the couple of games that I've played that are associated with it. But you had some fun weapons. You were fighting some really interesting looking weird dudes. I love the fact that when you were running, it was just, you hear this stomp, stomp, stomp. Like you felt like you were in just this fast, almost mech-like power armor. Really fun game. Really fun retro shooter. That came out in like, what, May or so this year? Really enjoyed that. Zorch. This one I wanted to get more into, but I just haven't had a chance. Played it a little bit. I'm kind of bad at it actually, but it was kind of fun. I had fun with it, but it's something that I really need to get back into and try to play a little bit more. Oh, Slayer's X. I'm not even going to try to remember the whole name of this thing. It's like subtitle among subtitle and then subtitle. It's just weird. Slayer's X is a weird fever dream of like, what if somebody was really smart but also sort of really stupid, and what if like a 10-year-old made a first-person shooter that was like everything in their like Beavis and Butthead addled brain that was, poop humor and just it's weird, man. It is a solid enough shooter, but it is just crazy. There's like talking rats and poop monsters, and just watch the video that I did for it. It's pretty out there. From a similar vein to that Egg Wife game, that 77p Egg Wife, which is also nuts. Night Dive, they finally released the System Shock that was kickstarted in what, like 2018? And it's a cool game. Like I've been playing it a little bit, before the full 1.0 release, and I like what they did with it. They kept it as close as they could to the original, but they made the controls a lot more manageable for like a modern control scheme. But at the same time, from a low vision perspective, I think I covered the demo, but I don't think I ever did a full 1.0 video for it yet. But there's a lot of like inventory management and reading logs and different things that you find throughout the ship. And the UI is kind of small, can have sort of bad contrast. So like the shooting is it's okay. But it's all the other like RPG immersive sim stuff that gets in my way. Like I don't mind doing that kind of a stuff, but just the way that the HUD and the UI is, it's kind of difficult for me. So I've kind of bounced off that more than I wanted to. A friend of mine is really like System Shock is one of his favorite series, so he's totally digging it, but he can see a little bit better than I can as well. So Hrot, the final release of that. I played all the way through the first episode, started episode 2, and haven't really gotten much further, but I did a video for that. It's like this really bizarre, like Doom Quake-esque style shooter, bizarre enemies, but it has this like a grayscale black and white look to it, which kind of takes some getting used to, and there can be a little bit of contrast issues for low vision wise. but it's doing a thing. It's got a look to it. Um, and I loved what I played like all the way through the first episode, and so I really need to get back and just finish and play more of the full 1.0 release. But HROT, really neat. Kind of like in, what was it, like, it's like Soviet Russia or something. It was somewhere, I forget. No, I forget where it took place, but it was a really unique setting, really unique enemies, and just again, that kind of grayscale art style made it really stand out. Herald of Havoc was a really pleasant surprise. I enjoyed the hell out of that game. Haven't been able to beat that stupid final boss because he's a pain in my ass, especially the like second or third form. But up to that though, like the levels were really cool. The enemies were fun to fight. But what I really liked about that game was the weapons. Each level you started over with your, what was it, like a pistol and a knife or something, or a sword or something. But then like each level you would get your own sort of unique weapon set. You had everything from like a lightning gun. You had a gun where you could like revive fallen enemies and then they would fight on your side. So I could build my army of minions. I mean, there was just some really creative, non-standard weapons in that game, and it's just a fun game to play. I really enjoyed it. Ooh, Trepang 2. That's another game I really want to get back to. I beat the campaign, but I did a stream this summer where we played they're like survival map missions where you're in an arena and they spawn different wave after wave of enemies, and some of those are just so fun. It's basically like a spiritual successor to Fear. The shotgun is amazing in it. You have slow-mo ability, you have some melee ability. You're fighting the military soldiers, you're fighting the cultists are completely nuts. They start chucking Molotovs at you, and then you get on fire, they get on fire. It's just like super action, and if you like the combat in the Fear games, especially the first one, dude, you gotta try Trepang 2, cause it's good. I enjoy the campaign overall. I really didn't like some of the supernatural stuff. I thought it was strongest when you were like, again, you were just going all balls out against the soldiers and the cultists and different things like that. A couple of the mission types didn't quite work. The story itself, you can kind of see where it was coming a mile away, but it was still fun as hell to play through. And there's been some additional arena DLC, so there's more arenas to play through. That is absolutely something I'm going to be returning to the next year. Extranium, that's been in some form for a while now. Still not at 1.0 release, but huge shout out to that guy because he is making a really, really fun, really cool Wolfenstein 3D-esque style game. Love the kind of cartoony art style. Love the simple, straightforward, but fun and challenging gameplay. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, just a really fun game, and I really hope he's able to finish it, and I really look forward to playing the full game, because I've loved what I played so far. Oh yeah, Dino Trauma. Yeah, this was that one that was sort of, kind of had more of a survival horror type of deal to it. Almost maybe like a first-person Dino Crisis type of thing. I don't remember. I think it was just a demo. I don't think it was early access. I don't remember, but I know I played it this summer, and it was kind of neat. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be like. It's a little bit slower. You got to manage your resources a little better. But it was a fun game. I want to learn more. Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition. Yeah, they cleaned it up and they released the Rise of the Triad, this kind of bridge between Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. doing some crazy stuff with the Wolfenstein engine. The weapons are just bananas. You've got dog mode, god mode, the Excalibat, the ludicrous jibs. Just the game is nuts. Traps everywhere. Difficult game, but really cool. That's another night dive outfit, I think. So yeah, they're cranking these babies out, man. They're doing the Lord's work, bringing back all these retro first-person shooters that I loved. Keep them coming. Quake 2 remastered. Last year we got Quake. This time we got Quake 2. And they included the N64 version, just like Doom 64, Quake 64, or Quake 2 64 was totally its own campaign, which I did beat. I did get all the way through that. Yeah, it's a very nice complete package. I think they've released some extra campaign DLCs to it as well since launch. If you like some Quake, we've got official Bethesda/id versions of Doom, Doom 2, Quake, and Quake 2. So hell yeah, keep them coming. Would love to see more. Turbo Overkill. This is a game I so want to like, and I do. It's fast, it's crazy, it's fun. You got just fast weapons, you've got a dash, you've got a chainsaw for a leg. You can upgrade eventually for dual chainsaws. There's just all kinds of craziness that you can do with your character. The main problem that I have with it, though, is again, being a low vision player, sometimes it's hard for me to figure out where to go because there's so much in the traversal aspect. It's not just a shooter. You're going to be jumping, double jumping, dashing, wall running, doing all kinds of combinations of these things. And so there might be some ledge, some pathway, some like wall I'm supposed to run on, some combo that I'm not realizing, and I'm just not sure exactly where to go, or I fail to execute it. And so as much as I like the game, it's the platforming and traversal stuff where I'm having more of the trouble just getting around some of these levels. But I mean, the combat and the chainsaw leg is so good. Man, chainsaw leg, yeah, really good stuff. Turbo Overkill. Diluvian Ultra. This is a weird one that I don't know. Like you have this pet weapon kind of a thing, and it's kind of got this really like everything's like got this organic vibe to it. Even like the enemies, the levels themselves. It's just a really unique style to everything in the game. I'm kind of bad at it, but I enjoyed what I played so far. And it's got a little bit of that traversal stuff going on too. Some jumps and air dashes and stuff like that. Forgive Me Father 2 demo. So yeah, was it last year or the year before we got Forgive Me Father? And now we have not only the demo, but we actually have the early access version of Forgive Me Father 2, and I'm really digging it. I love the art style, the comic book art style. The weapons are fun. The levels are good so far from what I've played. Very much looking forward to seeing what that's going to be like. And I think one that I maybe forgot to put on here that I have to mention is Project Warlock 2. They've been making a lot of updates to this, revamping the original first episode, chunking things out to smaller levels differently. We just started getting episode 2 earlier, and it's a totally different character, totally, in a way, different play style, because she's got different, like, weapons and, like, abilities and stuff. And it's the episode 2 is not messing around. It's pretty hard. But I really like the flow and just again, it's beyond what, like, Project Warlock 1 was more Wolfenstein 3D, whereas this is more of like maybe your Doom era, almost partly like Quake, because you can run, you can jump, you've got more verticality instead of just flat levels that the original game had. Project Warlock 1 and 2, I'm really liking what they're doing, and I'm glad I backed part 2 on Kickstarter. Soul Slinger demo. Actually, as I'm recording this, they just came out with early access and it was on sale, so I picked it up. Um, that's that one I mentioned in the last video where it was like this kind of black and white Western themed first person shooter. Presentation is outstanding. I love the presentation style of it, but since everything is kind of this black and white and everything sort of blends in with each other, unless they have some sort of like visual high contrast accessibility thing to make enemies stand out or something, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to play this because, like, again, the roguelite elements, the dialogue, the overall just the music, the voice dialogue, it's got a lot of style, and the combat seems fun. So I do want to play it, and so I'm hoping that maybe they can put in some stuff to make it a little more low vision friendly. Still just coming out in early access. Fortune's Run. This was another one that was really, if I remember correctly, this is the one where there's a lot of traversal in it. So it's a fun shooter, but it's kind of got this like cyberpunk type of theme to it, and it's sort of hard. Like, just again doing the air dashes, double jumps. There was some kind of platforming parts where you're jumping across all these little circular platforms in midair. Again, the shooting is fun. It's some of the traversal stuff that I just don't do as well with. The Last Exterminator. There's a demo for this recently. That is like a build ass engine game if I've ever seen one. Like that is. It really feels like a Duke Nukem Shadow Warrior type of game. It looks great. It plays really well. Love the personality of the female main character. There's all kinds of, even in the demo, there's hidden Easter eggs. There's like, I hear something from John St. John, from the Duke himself. There's stuff referencing other indie shooters. There was one for, oh, I forget. I think there was one, yeah, there was one that was for, oh, what's that demo that I played a while back? The cell shaded night gangster one. Fallen Aces, which hopefully that's going to have a full release next year because I want to play some Fallen Aces. That game was fun. But yeah, the Last Exterminator, I am and I talked to him a little bit on Twitter, and he's pretty open to try to, he's watched my video, and he said he's going to try to take a couple of my suggestions into consideration and try to make it, as low vision friendly as he can. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to The Last Exterminator. EC Wolf. I had played this a while back, but I don't think I ever did a video for it. I think I still haven't released the video, but I will soon. This is a Wolfenstein 3D. It's kind of a more purist way to play a Wolfenstein 3D, but a little bit more modern. It's not like your brutal Wolfenstein that I've been playing. It's just a really fun, really solid conversion. Hey, I want to go back and play some Wolf 3D or Spear of Destiny or any of these sort of expansions that came out for it. Very fun little free download that you can do. Brutal Doom Platinum. This one was kind of neat because it had its own sort of visual art style. It was different than Brutal Doom. It just kind of did its own little thing. And I liked some of the interesting changes that it did with it. It had, like I said, it definitely had a different look. And sometimes I like the original better than what that one was. But again, just watch the video and you'll see just some of the differences, some of the way the enemies looked a little bit different, but it was really neat. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Gun Gods, kind of another retro shooter. I don't remember too much about that one, but I remember liking it. I remember it was fun. I'm just there's like I said, there's so many that I I can't remember what stands out about that one. But I do remember liking it. Gun Gods, it was pretty good. Wizardom. This one just came out in early access not very long ago. I just released a video for it not long ago. And it is a Wolfenstein 3D-esque style game, pretty much flat levels, but it did some really neat stuff. It's got this medieval, really but chunky art style. You're going through outdoor areas, you're going through castles, you're going through dungeons, you're getting rid of force fields, finding treasure, all kind of like mage type weapons. Um, really fun game, and I'm about 3 or 4 levels into the I was gonna say shareware, but the early access episode, and again, very much looking forward to seeing the full version of that when that comes out. Kingpin Reloaded. Now that one, it's been patched a little bit, so when I did the video, it did improve a bit since launch. It's got some weird difficulty spikes. There's a little bit of jank to it for sure. But it did some neat things. It came out before it came out after Half-Life actually. It came out in '99. But it kind of had, you went and you did quests for people. You could hire, if you got money, you found enough money, you could hire other gangsters to watch your back. They would cover, they would shoot other enemies for you. Some of them would have certain unique purposes. So like you'd hire somebody to crack a safe or open a door, or just something that you had to do that you didn't have the tools for. There was a shop. You would go into like these bars and dive places and stuff. They had little music clips from Cypress Hill. I mean, if you like the word fuck, you're gonna love this game because they say it like every 2 seconds. Enemies, bosses, your main character. If there's dialogue and they haven't said the F word um, in more than 5 seconds, like I said, if you're offended by that word, do not play this game because you will hate it. They're saying it constantly. It's even a bit overdone for me, but it's. I hope it still does continue to get patched, because there is a cool game in there. The modern remake is a little Kingpin Reloaded. It's still a little rough, and if they can kind of clean that up a little bit, get rid of some of especially in the lower difficulties, maybe make the enemies not quite so bullet spongy. Sometimes I can hit a guy and I'll kill him in 1 or 2 shots. Sometimes I'll empty an entire clip into them and they might finally die. So it's really got some weird stuff going on. But I had memories from playing it back in the day and wanted to play it again. So yeah, it's a unique thing. The Age of Hell demo. Ooh, this is another one in the GZ Doom engine that I am very much looking forward to now because the art style, the weapons, the music, the enemies. I got this kick-ass hammer, and you can enchant things, and like I'm just smashing people with like a fire hammer. The weapons are fun. Yeah, I'm really digging the hell out of what I've been playing for Age of Hell. Check out the demo if you can. Very much enjoying that. I just did a video for that demo very recently. Turok 3, we now have the full trilogy on your modern platform of choice. We have Turok 1, 2, and 3. Turok 3 was a little bit weirder because, you weren't in dinosaur land, you weren't in some weird Primogen ancient city thing. You actually start out in modern day and eventually go back into like dinosaur land, but it's unique. I don't know that it's my favorite of the three. I loved the first one a lot with like fighting the dinosaurs and some of their other enemies, but I hated the constant platforming and instant death platforming that was in Turok 1. Turok 2 kind of moved away from that more. I would say Turok 2 is probably, even though it's still a really, really hard game, 2 is probably my favorite. 3 is, again, it's got some neat stuff. And I'm really glad now we have the full trilogy. But yeah, it's definitely a unique twist on the whole Turok thing. And those are some of the shooters that came out. I might have missed one or two here and there. I know I've played a few like Doom mods. I've played the updated Sulaco demo. Very much looking forward to seeing what the heck that's going to be in the final version. Because you're basically, again, all the things that they're doing in GZ Doom, the GZ Doom engine. Things like Supplice, Age of Hell. There's a good, at least, Sulaco, there's a good half a dozen, if not more, of these commercial games that are coming to, let's see, okay, well, where did my hot dog go? I didn't even get to eat it. I threw another log on the fire, but now, there we go. We ate one. A little raw, but we're all good. But yeah, those are some of the first-person shooters, some early access, some full release, some demos. And trust me, there are way more to come. Like I said, some of the stuff that I've talked about this year are going to be coming out in full release, hopefully next year. We're going to have things like Fallen Aces. We're going to have things like... there's this really neat-looking 1930s, like Cuphead meets first-person shooter, meets like kind of gangster, Tommy gun. It's like this 1930s black and white shooter. What is it called? Mouse. It's just called Mouse, and I'm not quite sure what that's referring to, but it looks neat as hell, and I'm really looking forward to checking that out. So yeah, they're not slowing down. It is a genre I love, and so we are going to keep covering retro first-person shooters because they are my jam. And it would be a crime if I didn't wrap up this video. I know I'm going to talk about it in the next video, but Doom 30th anniversary, covered that on the 30th anniversary. I've got another video coming out soon for basically id Software released Knee Deep in the Dead in the Quake remaster that they released last year. So you can play Doom in full 3D with Quake enemies, which is a really interesting take on Doom, as you will soon learn when I release that video. But we've also had the Toby accessibility mod, and so we have Doom accessibility 30 years after release. Blind people can now play some Doom. One of, if not the best games ever made. I love it, especially like Knee Deep in the Dead is just perfection. Huge shout out to Mr. Alan D1 and team. So yeah, that is where we are going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We've still got two more to go? 2 more to go, I think. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.